This story is about an isolated farmhouse where Louise and her brother Michael receive news about their father's illness. But when they arrive at the house, their mother is not happy to see them. Louise thinks her mother is upset with her, so she doesn't take it too seriously. At night, while everyone is asleep, their mother suddenly appears in the kitchen. She is cooking, but suddenly she cuts her finger with a knife. The shocking thing is that she doesn't feel any pain and continues cutting without stopping. The next morning, when Louise and Michael reach the kitchen, they only find bloodstains. Mother is nowhere to be found. Louise and Michael go out to search for her and soon discover her body hanging from the roof of the sheep barn. They bring her down, but it's already too late. Both are in shock over their mother's death. The next day, they call the nurse who used to take care of the house. She tells them that their mother's behavior had changed recently. She often talked to herself and was obsessed with superstitions. Louise and Michael search their mother's room and find a hidden spot where she used to perform strange rituals. Louise doesn't understand why her mother was doing all this. She feels her mother's death isn't normal and wonders who her mother was talking to. But Michael says it doesn't matter now. Their mother hurt herself and then committed suicide, a sign of losing her mental stability. Hearing this, Louise yells at her brother, saying that if he had cared about their mother, this might not have happened. Michael angrily responds, "What's the point of discussing all this now?" A heated argument breaks out between them. After returning home, Louise is upset and goes to take a bath. Just then, she hears a noise from outside. She thinks it might be Michael, but when she pulls the curtain aside, she is shocked. Her father, who had been paralyzed in bed, is suddenly standing, and his eyes have turned completely white. Louise screams. When she looks again, her father appears even more terrifying. Her screams echo throughout the house. Michael comes running, but there is no one in the room. Only Louise is sitting in a corner, scared. Michael calms her down, and then they go to their father's room. There, the father is peacefully lying in bed. Michael doesn't believe Louise. She begins to think that perhaps she is hallucinating due to grief. She decides to go outside and smoke a cigarette. Just then, Michael's foot hits a diary. He picks it up and starts reading. It's their mother's diary, in which she writes that she was afraid of an invisible force. On the last page, only one word is written: monster. Louise and Michael read shocking things in their mother's diary. The word monster is repeatedly written, and it also says that the monster has come to take their father's soul. After reading the diary, it seems like something ominous is present in the house. The siblings begin to suspect their mother's death, but they are not convinced the contents of the diary are true. The next morning, they go to the sheep pen, the place where their mother's body was found. Michael can't understand one thing. The rope used to hang herself was so high up. How did their mother even reach it? The police claim she must have climbed the fence, but when they saw her body, there was nothing beneath her feet. Now they start to believe that their mother did not commit suicide. To find out the truth, they go to the local doctor. The doctor also says that their mother committed suicide and there were no signs of anything unusual on her body. But a shocking item is found in her pocket: a small cross. The doctor says he didn't find any marks of Michael. Louis asks, "What is this?" The doctor explains that it's a cross given by the church. Louis starts thinking deeply. While returning home, they see an old man standing outside the gate. The man calls out Michael's name and says he wants to talk about their mother. Then he gives Michael a cross, exactly like the one their mother had. They invite the man inside. He introduces himself as a father, priest, and says he was the one who gave the cross to their mother. He warns them, "A demon has targeted you all, and I've come to help." Louis doesn't believe him. Her family never had faith in religion. She thinks all this must have been in her mother's head, and that's why she went crazy and died. The father warns, "By the time you believe, it'll be too late. Your mother is proof of that." Hearing this, Michael gets angry and starts pushing him out. He shouts, "If you hadn't scared my mother, she might still be alive." The father replies, "Your mother was alone. So was your father. That's why the demon chose them." Then he leaves, but before going, he says, "Your mother wasn't crazy. She saw the demon, and now it's here." That night, strange things start happening. Michael is about to go to sleep when suddenly the light turns on. He switches it off, but then hears a sound from outside. He looks out the window and is left stunned with fear. His dead mother is floating in the air, staring at him. He thinks maybe it's just his imagination. But then Louise screams too. "Michael, there's something outside." Both of them gather courage and open the door, and right in front of them stands the same father. He keeps repeating only one thing again and again. "Come outside! Come outside!" Michael tries to drive him away, but Louise stops him. She turns on a flashlight and shines it on the father's face, and their souls tremble. Suddenly, the phone rings behind them. When they turn around, the father has disappeared. Michael thinks maybe the father was just trying to scare them. He searches the area, but there's no sign of the father, as if he was never there at all. Meanwhile, the phone call was from their neighbor. An intruder had broken into his house. When he gets no response on the call, the neighbor grabs his gun and starts searching his house. Suddenly, he sees a terrifying figure in the drawing room. On closer look, he realizes it's none other than Louise. But her expression clearly shows something is wrong. The neighbor tries to scare her off with his gun, but Louise doesn't listen. Instead, she starts hurting herself. The neighbor realizes this isn't Louise, but some spirit. He falls to his knees and begs for mercy, but the next moment, a scream is heard from the room. The neighbor puts the gun in his own mouth, and with the sound of a shot, everything ends. The next day, Louise realizes there really is a ghost in the house. She calls the same father from the previous day, but he says he never came to their house, nor does he know her mother. Louise understands that the priest who came yesterday was probably a demon, deceiving them all along. Louis immediately called the doctor so that their father could be taken to the hospital, but the doctor said that the father's condition was so bad that moving him would be dangerous. An argument broke out between the doctor and Louis. Just then, the house nurse explained to Michael, "Before you came, your parents were very lonely. The saddest thing in the world is to die alone." The nurse said she believed in God and felt that there was an evil spirit in the house trying to take their father's soul. But in the evening, something strange happened again. Michael was working in the sheep pen when an injured sheep ran toward him. The entire field was soaked in blood, and all the sheep had been killed. Both siblings were terrified. They realized that some evil force was behind all this. Michael didn't want to stay in the house for even a moment longer, but Louis refused to leave their father alone. A fierce argument broke out between the two. Michael made an excuse and went toward the pen to check on the remaining sheep. Just as he was calming down and about to return, his phone rang. But before he could answer the call, the sheep pen's alarm went off. Michael called out, but there was no response. As a precaution, he pulled out his knife. Suddenly, a voice came from the darkness, and a shadow slowly started approaching him. As it came closer, Michael saw that it was his deceased mother. He immediately realized it was a demon taking the form of his mother. Terrified, he started backing away. The ghost of his mother came closer. Michael closed his eyes and began praying silently. When he opened his eyes, she had vanished. But the very next moment, she was standing right behind him. Michael was so scared that he fell to the ground. His hand began moving toward his neck as if something was controlling him. With great willpower, he stopped himself and ran away from there. Back in his room, he started thinking about everything that had happened. Out of fear, she decided to leave the place the next day. The following morning, Louise heard the sound of footsteps. She was terrified and began listening while holding her breath. As the sound got closer, she quickly turned around, but there was no one there. To her shock, her father's bed was also empty. When she began searching for him, a sound came from the attic. As she looked up, her soul trembled. Her father was hanging from the ceiling. At that moment, using his last ounce of strength, her father said, "Run from here!" Louise woke up screaming. It had all been a dream, but just as she took a sigh of relief, she noticed scratch marks on her father's neck. She rushed to tell Michael, but his room was empty. Even when she tried calling him, there was no response. Just then, a nurse arrived. Louise tried calling from the house phone again, and this time the call connected. She found out that Michael had run away overnight out of fear. "My wife and children need me," Michael said. "I knew you wouldn't agree, so I left without telling you." Louise's heart broke. Michael told her, "Your father can't be saved. You need to leave this house right now." And then he hung up. Louise was in shock. Suddenly, the nurse screamed. Louise ran inside and was stunned by what she saw. An arrow had pierced the nurse's face. It was the work of that monster. The nurse's body lay on the floor, an arrow embedded in her face. All of it was caused by that demon. All bonds of love and trust had shattered. Suddenly, the nurse's corpse began to move. Her eyes opened, and she lunged at Louise. With a single blow, Louise fainted and collapsed. When she regained consciousness, she found herself outside the house. The strange thing was, nothing had been done to her. Instead, the demon was hurting itself. Seeing this, Louise couldn't understand why all this was happening. Meanwhile, Michael reached home, but as soon as he saw his family, his heart broke. They were all dead and in a horrifying manner. Seeing this, Michael lost his mind. He picked up a knife and slit his own throat. Rivers of blood began to flow, and within moments, Michael took his last breath. But the story didn't end there. As soon as Michael died, the door of the house opened and his dead family entered. In reality, this was all a trick by the demon. It created a fake scene to push Michael into committing suicide. By night, Louise was awakened by the ringing of the wall-mounted phone. She was safe, but she desperately wanted to escape this haunted house. She went to bid farewell to her father, but as soon as she stepped outside, she lost her balance and fell down the stairs. At that moment, she heard the sound of her father gasping from inside. Hearing this melted Lisa's heart. She couldn't leave her father alone. She went back inside, but just then, she heard Michael's voice calling for help from outside. Louise understood. It was the demon speaking in Michael's voice. Angrily, she shouted, "Go away from here!" Suddenly, all the candles went out, and her father stopped breathing. The room echoed with her mother's voice. With this, the story ends here. Subscribe to this channel for more horror stories like this.